Kenya. Last week, my people, it wasn't pretty at all in Nairobi, Kenya, as heavy rainfalls caused landslides and washed away houses and flooded roads. Everywhere in Nairobi was flooded. Everywhere. Trees collapsed. Some people even lost their cars.
The waters held vehicles hostage. There was nowhere a Nairobian could escape the wet menace.
It was really, really bad. And I've been hearing a lot of people saying that this is because of poor drainage and also poor infrastructure. Hopefully the government of Kenya can do whatever needs to be done so that this doesn't repeat itself. I'm not sure if you guys noticed the fence that collapsed.
This amateur video shows the impact of the rains and poor infrastructure. And just like that, this wall on Lenana Road came tumbling down.
Yeah, that's very sad. I heard that about 4 people lost their lives when that wall collapsed. Yeah, it's very, very sad. But you know, the most heartbreaking thing that happened during that flood was a 6-story building that collapsed in Huruma district in Nairobi. At least 49 people have lost their lives. It's really, really sad because this didn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen at all. Even though the heavy rainfall contributed to the collapse of the building, we heard that this particular building did not have planning permission. And it's not as if it's an old building. It was built 2 years ago. Why should a building built 2 years ago collapse because of flood? Apparently, the owner did not get the necessary license, so he probably didn't pass an inspection or something. But what I don't understand is why someone would build a house knowing that you didn't follow due procedure and rent it to people. Like, why? Why? How could you be so wicked?
This is where the back of the building stood, right next to the riverbank, raising questions as to how planning permission and inspection was approved. It is clear that its structural integrity was affected.
And now, 49 of those people lost their lives. The president visited the site and he ordered that the owner be arrested. In the meantime though, huge thanks to all the rescue workers at the site, because I heard that it was really, really hard getting to that place. There was only one road and it's very, very narrow, including the military men and women that showed up to help, as well as Red Cross and so many others. At least 140 people were rescued, including a baby that was rescued 4 days after the building collapsed. 4 days, that's a miracle. And the toddler was also rescued like 3 days after the building collapsed. The amazing thing was 4 people were rescued 6 days after the building collapsed. You should see the crowd cheering. Yes, that's a miracle. Now the disturbing thing is that when the building cracked, before it collapsed, like first of all, it cracked. Some tenants refused to get out. I don't know what they were waiting for. They thought that it's just a crack and it would be repaired.
I heard a loud bang around 9:15. I ran from 5th floor to downstairs to check, and I saw a huge crack on the floor, and I could also feel the house sway. I went back up to warn the neighbors. Most ignored this, saying it would be repaired.
Now that's really sad. Did you guys hear what he said? He said that most of the neighbors ignored him when he went back upstairs and told them to get out.
My family just got out in the nick of time. I was about to leave when I felt the ground under me give way.
I'm glad that he made it out with his family, although he was still injured. The one thing that troubles me is I still see several of such buildings in the same neighborhood. Did you guys notice that in the video? And people are still living there. Like, if something like that should happen to your neighbor, I thought the very next day you will pack your load and leave with your family. At least 200 buildings have been earmarked for demolition, but people are still there.
The county government says at least 200 buildings have been earmarked for demolition. Most of them do not have occupancy permits.
See that? Those buildings did not have occupancy permits, yet people are living there. They've been told to vacate the buildings, but they are still there. I don't know. I mean, I know that houses like this may be cheap. They may be cheaper than other houses, but please, my people, it's not worth losing your life. And if you're living in a building earmarked for demolition, why are you still there? I don't get it. Before renting a place, please try to do your best to make sure that it's safe for you and your family. You guys said I don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.